Township Zoning Board of Appeals scheduled for this date at this time. Please call the roll.
Dan Durham.
Here.
Don Walker.
Here.
Tony Cook.
Here.
Tony Kirby.
Here.
Diane Danaskis here.
Thank you. Next, we have, we have the minutes that were generated at our 28th of October meeting. Do any board members have any additions, deletions, or motions?
Move to accept as presented.
Support. Motion by Mr. Walker, supported by Mr. Kirby. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Next, we have the agenda review and approval for tonight. We have 3 cases. Does anyone have any concerns, questions, or a motion to accept?
Motion to accept the agenda as presented.
And I will support. Motion by Mr. Danaskis, supported by myself. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, we're all set. Before we open the first case, a couple things while we're all still friends. Public comment is going to be limited to one time for 3 minutes, one time per person. So if you get up here and take your 3 minutes and then remember something, it's too late. And I'm not certain, I have a feel, but I'm not certain how, if at all, tonight's cases are going to be possibly confrontational, possibly not. I just want to advise everybody before we start that we are all to treat one another with respect, please. You for the board, certainly the board will treat you with respect and with one another. If you come up to speak, no matter what the provocation, speak to the board, not to the audience. It's your job to speak to us, our job to speak to them. And having said that, we will call the first case, AB 2023-26. Wendy Hope at 796 Harry Paul. Sidwell 09-11-379-091. Applicant is seeking 3 variances from zoning ordinance 78, zoned R3. Article 27, section 27.05, H2. Number 1 is a 10-foot rear yard setback variance from the required 10 feet to construct a 6-foot fence along the rear property line. Number 2 is an 8-foot side yard setback variance from the required 8 feet to construct a 6-foot fence at the intersection of the rear property line and the side property line to the north. And number 3 is a 30-foot front yard setback variance from the required 30 feet to construct a 6-foot fence at the intersection of the front property line and the side property line to the south. Do we have an applicant? Please introduce yourself, and very slowly, because, I mean, you live down a hill and there's things in close proximity. Maybe the rest of the folks understood it better than I did, but take us through it slowly, please.
Okay. I am Wendy Hope. I'm here asking for the variances. First reason is when I bought the property lines were off, as explained to me, and I had a survey done. I'm missing 2 feet of my yard across the back. I was missing about 2 feet down the side. And I've lived there for over 9 years now. I want my yard private. I need that space. There's been an ongoing issue with the property line. Part of it has destroyed the burning bushes out in front, and it keeps disappearing. And so to get rid of that problem and not have to worry about it, I do want the front fence through the middle. I have a 4-foot. I would like to step that up to 6 feet for 25 feet and 15 feet this side of the road. And I want the privacy fence put across the backyard for 60 feet. Give myself privacy. It'll match the other fence. It'll be a better selling feature, and it gives me privacy and space that I need. We do have some loud dogs in the area that are left out to bark. It's not a good time, and I need that. And I want to save whatever's left of my trees and whatnot that have been taken from the backyard, so they're not removed. So I'm hoping the fence will do that.
I understand you've had previous variances granted to that property?
Yes, I have. I've got one for the side yard. It's a 6-foot privacy fence. It's a nice wood treated fence. The other fences, the new fences will match that exactly. And they'll be put with a nice side out. They'll be put within the property line.
Thank you. Board members.
I have a question.
Mr. Naskis.
At the front intersection, how far back from the road are you? And first of all, how far back are you? Will you stop the fence from?
Oh, 50, I won't go beyond that 15 feet that we need.
Okay. And does that give enough visibility on the road? It's not going to block the view of driveway or anything?
No, it's actually going to be shorter than the burning bushes that are there.
Mr. Cook.
So, Ms. Hope, when you say that there are, the landscaping is being destroyed, can you elaborate on that a little bit more, please?
Well, the property line was off on the side, so when the new neighbors moved in at 800, trees were removed. And I let it go. I put the new fence in, and, I didn't do anything about it. I asked him nicely. It continued. And then once the fence was put in, the 4-foot in the front, I just did that as a separation of the properties because there's been some concern about where the property line is. Well, then the burning bush out front started getting cut. And it kept getting cut and cut. And my understanding with Michigan tree laws, and correct me if I'm wrong, but when two people own the property, own the trees, bushes, what have you, both of them are to agree as to whether they come down or not. Well, even though I said I preferred to have them, the neighbor continued to cut them, and now they look terrible. And I think a couple of you pulled up and saw the mess out there. There's a Karen lives next door, or my neighbor is a Karen, and it looks kind of disgusting. The bush is all hacked up. There's no, rhyme or reason to it. It's not attractive. And I need that fence to block that whole nonsense. I don't need this. I don't need to look out on Saturday mornings and see somebody with a chainsaw going at this bush that was beautiful. That bush was worth 500 to 1,000 apiece, those two burning bushes. So that's a lot of money.
Right, okay, so I just want to go back to the question about you put a fence in. Did you put the fence in post having it surveyed? After you had the land surveyed, the lot surveyed?
The first fence went in, and I followed the old fence line. And then when I got the survey done, the one through the middle, I'm assuming you mean through the backyard?
Correct, yeah.
Yes, then the survey came up, and actually my property was 2 feet over. And the problem is when I bought the house, the owner was out of state. I had
Okay,
questions.
hold on one
answered.
sec, because what I'm trying to do is establish, is the current fence from the previous variance that was granted, is that on the property line?
It's just in from the property line.
How far in from the property line?
Oh, at some points, my understanding is the property's not exactly straight, but it's like 4 to 8 inches. And then towards the front, it's about 2 inches in from the property line.
Okay, so thank you. That's what I wanted clarity on.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
Question for you, if I might. You put a fence in and then at some time after the fact had a survey done.
Yeah, because then I found out that it was off.
It wasn't brought up to you by whoever fenced it that maybe a survey at the time of the fence going in would have been more appropriate?
It might have been. The way I understood it when I bought the place, my agent and the questions that I asked, they all thought that the fence, the existing fence, the old chain, whatever you would call it, the barbed wire, the thrown-in fence was actually on the property line, but it came out after that it wasn't.
So your intention, if successful tonight, is to put a fence over on what you believe the property line now to be?
It's going to be just inside the property line. I won't go all the way up to it. It'll be between 1 and 2 inches.
But it will be moving towards one neighbor or the other?
It'll move towards me. It'll not be, yeah, it won't be, I won't put it right on the property line, but it'll be just in my side.
Okay, help me understand, I'm not following you. the fence, the fence that is up is in place now.
Yeah,
If you put a new fence in, will it be closer to a neighbor, but still off the property line? Will it be in the same spot?
oh, it's going to pretty much be in the same spot. I'm going to follow the one that started the 4-foot.
Mhm.
That's within the property line, and that line's going to continue to the road. And it's still going to be on my property. It'll be just shy of the property line.
Have you had any communication with an attorney on this matter?
I've just asked random questions.
Okay. It's really not germane to why you're here tonight. I was just trying to think down the road. Thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Walker.
so when you purchased the property, did you get a survey with the closing documents?
No, no. And I thought there was one done, and it never came up. And my realtor was like, oh, no, don't worry about it. You're good.
You had a real estate agent tell you that you didn't need a survey when you purchased your house?
They were, at the time, I think they were optional. I mean, some people get them done, some don't. But I took it when I asked the question that the property was in the right spot, you know, that the fence was in the right spot that it was. And like I said, the previous owner was in Texas, so.
And correct me if I'm wrong, one of the variances you want, you're going to take down a 4-foot fence and want to put up a 6-foot fence.
Well, that 4-foot, since trees have already been planted, I'll probably add lattice to that. And then what I want to do is a step up to the 6-foot for that 25 feet.
And why isn't the 4-foot fence adequate for your needs?
I have cameras aimed at my house. I have, the neighbor has a camera aimed at the back and the front of my house. When I step out of the doors, the dogs come out in the backyard or the neighbor steps out. It's ridiculous. I want some privacy. If I want to work in my side yard, I don't want a camera in the face.
And you believe that a 6-foot fence would block the camera view?
Hopefully.
But you don't know that.
Well, either that or he can aim it elsewhere.
Thank you.
Clarifying, the current fence that's out towards the front along the side of your property,
Mhm.
the back portion to the back of your house is a wood fence, is it wooden?
Yeah,
But forward, it's a chain link or some type of metal fencing, am I correct?
chain link is across the back, all the chain link is out of the front.
The chain link is out in the front.
No, it's gone
Right,
from the
I know
front,
it's-
yeah.
Okay. So what is it that's between your property and the neighbor's property on the side?
There's a 4-foot,
Right, but that only comes out so far. correct?
yeah, and then it's what's left of the bushes,
So it's just bushes, there's no fencing there currently?
right.
Thank you.
So, when you're coming onto your property, there's a 4-foot fence there.
Mhm.
There is, you get to the backyard.
Yeah,
Once you go through that gate on the backyard, how tall is that fence to my left if you're walking into the backyard?
6 foot.
Okay, that's what you were asking about.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
Okay,
That's the previous variance.
right.
yeah.
But there is, the one that she wants to extend out to the front is currently
4 foot.
4 foot.
Right.
Well, and doesn't go that far, there's nothing for part of that distance.
Yeah, and where the 4-foot ends, I just want to do like a board like I did towards the back, like a 4.5, 5, 6,
Okay.
2 or 3 boards, and then it'll match the 6, and then lattice or something will connect the 4-foot ends.
Okay, so, Mr. Chairman?
Good.
When I was out, what I saw is I saw the fire bush, but I saw that it was trimmed on the one side, the neighbor's side. Wasn't a very good trim job, but it did not go over to your side.
It does,
Across
if
the
you look
property.
at it, a lot of it's been cut in the middle towards the ground. And at separate occasions, I've gone out there and caught him cutting. And when I asked him to stop, I got called names.
Okay, all right.
Has any of this risen to the point where you've contacted the police department?
Yeah, I've called a few times.
So they will have records of coming to your home?
Mhm.
Okay. Okay, while the board's thinking about it, do we have anybody in the audience that came specifically to speak to this topic tonight? I'll take one. The lady will surrender the mic. She can have a seat for a minute, and you can have your turn.
He means one at a time.
One
One at a
I
time.
saw two hands. One of you get up and come on up. Right.
Right.
No, he gets his turn if he wants. That's okay. No.
Well, hello, everybody. I've been here most of my life, and I've never been to one of these meetings. So this is
This
interesting.
is our first time, too. It's our first time also.
Oh, it's your first time, too? Well, you're doing a great job so far. My name is Drew Jones. I live in 821 Allen Drive, which my backyard butts up to the petitioner's backyard. There's a 4-foot fence across from property line to property line. I am not at all adverse to having a 6-foot wood fence, 6-foot wood fence there. But I do have a couple caveats. I want that wood fence placed exactly on the fence line that's there now, which may be 6 or 8 inches into her yard, but I have spent several $1,000s on my landscaping, and it's still being worked on around the backyard, and I don't want to have to spend more money for 6-inch moving. The petitioner is very adamant about what she owns and what she doesn't own. The police have been called on me several times because of bushes being trimmed at the fence line, and it was explained to the petitioner that as long as I don't do anything to destroy the plant, I can trim anything I want at the fence line.
Okay, let me stop you for a second. You said it's been explained to the petitioner. By whom?
It's been explained to her and to me by the police department.
Thank you.
If you were to pull a record on her address with the police department, you'll get quite a bit of information.
Okay.
And I'd be glad to have a 6-foot fence, but like I said, I want it on the existing fence line. That fence was really fine, just like the fence that she wants to replace on the north side of her. They're chain link. I don't find it breaking down at all. She does insist upon growing vines. Anything wild that grows, she wants to let it grow. And that's what she wants. I'm retired disabled. I'm on a fixed income. I don't need any extra expenses fighting about property lines or redoing any of the landscaping I'm working on. So if it's on the fence line, that's fine. The second thing I require is the finished side has to be towards my yard. And the third thing I require, I always say I require, that I want, is to be notified of the day it's being installed so I can have that installation monitored. Now, there have been surveys done, and as far as I know, there have been people in my yard doing surveys, but the petitioner never communicates in an honest or outgoing or efficient manner with her neighbors. So I'm sure all of her neighbors love the fences, and I know I will. And I can't think of anything else to tell you except I love dogs. The neighborhood dogs are not a nuisance, in my opinion. I guess that's it. 2 minutes? Did I get it in 2 minutes?
You got 3, but that's okay.
Okay, well, I'm doing a good job then too, huh? And if I'm loud, I'm sorry, I'm really hard of hearing, but,
That's okay.
so any questions?
Mr. Neskis, please.
Just verifying the location of your home, is it to the rear of her?
I'm on Allen Drive, our backyards butt up to
Right
each
up
other.
Thank you.
And that's where the 4-foot chain link fence is. And there's actually quite a bit of privacy. There's trees back there, you know. But I'm not adverse to having a 6-foot wood fence, as long as it stays on that fence line. You know, if she didn't get the variance, she'd have to put it 10 feet in, so I don't think we should fight over 6 inches. And I don't think I should have to work on my landscaping, pay to redo what I've done, so.
Very good.
All set?
Mr. Cook?
Mr. Jones,
You guys keep doing a great job, and maybe I'll see you in another 30 or 40 years.
Mr. Cook's got one thing for you.
yeah, maybe 2. Now, you talked about your yard and what you've spent on.
I'm sorry?
You've talked about your yard and what you've spent to do the landscaping. prior to starting that landscaping, did you have your yard surveyed?
Well, it's banked out, and nothing goes over the line.
No,
And so
my
it could-
question is did you have it surveyed
No, I
prior
haven't
to
had my yard
starting
surveyed,
it?
no.
You did
Not in
not?
26 years, no.
Say that one more time?
26 years I've been there, no. I've never had a problem with the neighbor. The neighbor to the north of me came in and got a variance from you guys to fence his whole backyard, and we went out and said, where do we want it? And it was pretty much put where the other one was. So, no, I haven't had a stake survey of my yard. But I'd be willing to do that if there's a conflict as to where that fence is going to go. I would be willing to call my attorney, and I would be willing to discuss splitting the cost of doing that. And I've been told it's been done, but I wasn't involved in it, so, that would be another chapter.
Right. No, I just wanted to know that.
No, I
because
appreciate that, Tony.
In essence, you
I
were,
should say Mr. Cook.
I answered to both. But, and then, the other things that you said about the finish side and then the installation, those are, I think, reasonable. But the part that where you were requiring that she put it exactly where it is, if granted and she's successful and her survey says it's here, your request would be invalid because it's her property.
Okay, well, I had nothing to do with that survey. I would have to have paperwork, I would have to call my attorney, I would have to see if I'm gonna have another survey. I'm not gonna do anything easy for the petitioner, other than as far as I've gone. That's, and I'm not someone to raise Cain, but the petitioner really is the second worst neighbor I've ever had in my life.
No.
And the worst neighbors were dealing drugs. So, not in that house.
All right.
So I'm just letting you know where I'm at.
All right.
And who I am, and,
One other fast question. 26 years you say you've been there.
pardon me?
You say you've been at the place 26 years?
I've been in my house 26 years.
Did you pull a mortgage when you went there?
Did I pull a mortgage?
Yep. I mean, you didn't pay cash the day you moved in.
No, I still
neither
have a
did I.
mortgage. I'm never gonna pay my house off.
So I would bet 26 years ago you did get a mortgage survey.
Well, I have that, yes, I probably have that. I'm sure I have that.
Then you would have what should be a valid survey, if you had a mortgage survey done
Okay.
at the time.
And I understand that, but she wants a variance to put a taller fence in.
Understand.
I've had a fence there, I think that fence has probably been there 50 years, because in high school, they built that neighborhood. I went to high school here, so,
Okay. Just trying to nail down the survey or no survey.
I understand that.
I bet you got one in your
I'm a little
filing
wound up,
cabinet.
so,
Okay, you're handling it well.
thank you all very much.
Thank you. All right, the other gentleman, come on up. Identify yourself, please, and let us know what you have on this matter.
Good evening. My name is Ryan Schultz, and I am one of two owners of 800 Harry Paul. Wendy Hope is on my north side property, she's on the north side of my property, sorry. I strongly disagree with a 30-foot variance. Where do you want me to start?
Wherever you want.
All right. So I was looking over a few things as, I believe, I can't say her last name, I'm sorry,
Naskis, Diane.
Naskis. As she pointed out, Ms. Hope has a 4-foot fence already separating our two properties. She erected this fence without any notice. I also have pictures if anyone would like to see them, and I do have a survey detailing my property. I have also met all of Wendy Hope's requests of hers that she wanted us to take care of our property. I appreciate that she has such great concern for my bushes, that I have a survey to prove that they are my bushes.
We see that survey, Mr. Chairman?
If you would like, I can hand you both.
I'd like to,
Please
yes,
do.
please.
Can't have too much information.
Absolutely not.
Let me break your stride for just a minute. How long have you been in your property?
3 full years today.
One more time?
3 full years today.
Okay, 3 full years. Did you plant the bushes?
I did not.
They were there when you got there.
They were.
Thank you. Continue.
I do respect that the bushes are a very nice feature. I can understand why she would want them. I have not touched her side of the bushes. The surveyors were able to confirm that the bushes are fully planted, the base of them, on my property. As if you're looking at the survey, her last post of her 4-foot fence is actually into my property, where she moves the fence from her last point to her 6-foot. It's almost 8 inches out, 6 to 8 inches. And then it's roughly 2 inches into my property. We're talking inches. I'm not really worried about inches. My concern here is that any other further building, I can't trust that it will be built in a way that isn't going to further invade on my property. That is my biggest concern here. If she wants privacy, she can have privacy. Do I have cameras? Yes, I have cameras. The north side of my property has no windows facing her property. The south side of her property has no windows facing our property. My cameras do not face any of her windows, period. I find that disrespectful and very invasive. I would never want someone to do that to me. So I do not do it to any of my neighbors. I won't say that Wendy and I have had the best of relationship living next to each other. You can't get along with everyone. I understand that. Both of us got along, I don't know, maybe for like 6 months, and then it just kind of spiraled. It is what it is. I can accept that. I do not think that a 6-foot privacy fence in the front yard adds any benefit to either of our properties. The 4-foot fence is only meant to be an irritant and almost fits a definition of a spite fence. I don't care if she keeps the 4-foot fence. If she wants to keep it where it's at, move nothing, it could stay there. I don't care. But further construction, dry throat. Further construction risks damaging the trees, the bushes, the rose bushes that I planted after she put this fence in, because I assumed that she was done with construction. And I didn't want to be staring at a fence halfway down my front yard on my north side. So I planted stuff there with the survey in hand, so I know where everything's at. That way, I wouldn't have any other issues. I can't even maintenance my own trees without having the police called on me. I can't even let my dogs out during the day without her calling and complaining. I have to put in FOIA requests to understand why she's even calling the police on me, because she doesn't even come and talk to me. I can't even enjoy my own property. It's exhausting. That is the bulk of my concern. If the board wants more information, I can provide it. However, I think that is a little bit overkill.
Let me ask you a question, if I may, and I'm asking solely for your opinion. What, in your opinion, would have to happen, short of people moving away, for this situation to go away, for it to calm down? Because I think everybody that is here tonight that's involved in this understands that it's probably not a good thing. What, in your opinion, would have to happen?
I'm going to be honest, I have tried to ignore the problem, hoping that it would resolve itself. That is not happening. I honestly do not know what else I could do other than buying her a home and moving her away from me that would solve my problem. That's all. I cannot see another pathway out because she does not bend any which way.
Okay, thank you.
You're very welcome.
Before you step down, I do have one question. What did you think of the Ryman?
I loved it.
No,
Saw
go
Sarah
ahead.
Silverman there. She was fantastic. Anything else?
Think we're all set?
Thank you.
No.
Thank you, board.
Nope.
Nope.
Got one? I'm sorry.
Nope.
So you talked about the cameras specifically. That's on the north side of your home, correct?
I have 4 cameras.
Okay, tell me.
I have one facing the backyard, so I can see the range of the backyard. My dogs like to go a little bit, I won't call it crazy, but they run towards the back corner all the time, so I had a camera there to kind of see what they were chasing or what they were so interested in. I still couldn't tell you what they're interested in. I have one where I moved my gate at Miss Wendy Hope's request per her letter that she wrote me. So I have a camera there as well, just because I like to know who's going in and out of my gate, including myself, because I'm kind of ADHD and forget where I put things, so it's nice to know. I have a camera inside, and then I have a camera, oh, no, I have 4 outside, sorry. I have a camera facing the street view. And while I could see the strip of land between us and the bushes, I can't see anything past her driveway, I can't see her backyard. There is no reason for me to really move it, the view is just restricted.
So the fence on the north side, I'm sorry, the camera on the north side specifically is there because
I was having, my old gate was there,
your old gate was there?
yes,
So where your current gate is there a camera on that side?
yes,
You didn't mention that in your list,
I did. I said when I moved my gate at Miss Wendy Hope's request.
okay? You moved you added a camera.
I had an extra camera, so I put it there, yes.
Okay, that's what I'm missing. Okay, thank you.
Apologies.
All right. And then you said you've had to do FOIA requests to find out why the calls were being made?
The first one that we made.
Wait, let me finish the question. So from the FOIA request, the chairman, Mr. Durham, asked about what would it take. In reading those FOIA requests, could you come up with anything to kind of bridge this chasm that we have here?
I'm not sure that there's anything I could do, if I'm being honest.
Mhm.
She calls the police when I'm not home. She calls the police when I'm home, when I'm gardening.
Right.
I just was trying to find out why.
Right. And so I'm saying, in terms of reading that, did you garner any nuggets of information?
Other than she just wants reports from police officers.
Okay. Thank you.
Looks like you're all set. Thank you.
Thank you.
Public, come on up. Petitioner will get a time to come back. She's not looking, okay. Hi there.
I'm Linda Neville, or Linda Fournier. I live on the north side of all of this that's going on. So I'm on the fence that so far doesn't have a wooden fence requested to
What's
be
your
put
address,
on
ma'am?
it. 265 Buckhorn.
Thank you.
It's completely different issues I have than everyone. I've been there for 45 years. The fence at the back of Wendy's yard has been there since I've been there. We've never had fences. We had a farm fence in the back that we took up when we had a baby, so they wouldn't get hurt. We could go from our yard to Jude's yard through the lilac bushes. We left a little path because the kids played with the people that lived there before. It's a really open area. There were no fences. I could see all the way past, I don't know the other neighbor's name, but I couldn't see because the trees got big, but I could see forever. And on the side with the house that has the fence all the way around it, that's like a year or so ago, I sent a note too late about that. It's like a fortress now, which I agreed to that, and the neighbor across the street on the other side of Buckhorn did too. We were wildly shaken up that that fence was so obnoxious when it went up. But we did agree, the neighbor came to it, this has nothing to do with what's happening now, except that we're on a corner. So next to us, we have a house that's like a fortress around it. And that runs, they got a variance closer to the road, so it runs far down toward our mailbox. And then when I look out the backyard, it's getting a little different because the fence on the south side of Wendy's yard went up, which I had sent a note to, and it was too late to address the issue. Only about the fence. Her yard's beautiful. She's been a fine neighbor to us. We don't have a whole lot of interactions, but we share, vegetables and plants and things. It's all fine and dandy, but I was not a fan of the fence. Our neighborhood doesn't really have fences. We certainly don't have fences that go from the fronts of houses to the road. And for me, if this was to be a situation, because the house next door, that's like the fortress, they put it up in the fall, and in the spring, they sold it and left. He was gonna stain both sides and take care of it. We have a board that's fallen out of it now. It's never been stained, I guess that's part of our problem. It's a real unfortunate thing. So when I look at what's happening in the yard behind us, the south side, now we want it toward the road, now we want it across the back. And the people that are agreeing to this, they wish for privacy because they're having personal issues. They just kind of want some space. Where before we didn't have that all going on, we had air. So say if Wendy moved and someone new moved in there, rightfully so, they'd be like, why in the world didn't they finish this fence? And if they do come and ask, it would seem kind of, simple to you. Why wouldn't they finish the fence? Go ahead and finish the fence. Then I will be surrounded by 2 fortress-style houses in a neighborhood that never has many fences. That's my issue. I really wish for everyone to get along. I wish there was a way. You asked for ideas on how. We've talked about it a little bit. We use cedar bushes in our yard to block the things that we don't want to see. We've had various, like maybe the 6th neighborhood now, neighbor next to us in the house that's fenced all around, various amounts of mayhem and things gone on there. So we've got lilacs down the side. We put in cedar bushes on the other side to hide a old barn style thing and lack of maintenance. So we made it look nice or natural rather than fences. And I don't know where they go price-wise, one to the other. I wish for, if that's what has to happen, then maybe it could be something more natural, but I'm just not a fan of the fences. My husband and I are not wanting to see any more of that. So it's a completely different issue, but
Not really.
that's why we're here. We don't have any personal issues. She's got a gorgeous yard. I would love to see it. I can't always have her there, like I can't plan on it, So, that's it.
Thank you for your time.
Sure.
Do we have anybody else to speak to this while we've got it going? Seeing none, applicant, come on back up. You get more than one turn because we ask you a lot of questions and things.
Okay. First of all, anybody wants to view it, this is the survey.
Okay, for
Which
the record,
shows-
please reintroduce yourself.
Oh, I'm sorry, Wendy Hope again, the troublemaker of the block.
Remember, we're just keeping this all nice
Yeah,
and level.
no.
We've been doing a wonderful job so far.
Yeah, I'm trying, it's just,
Doing okay.
I feel a little outnumbered. And I apologize, Jim and Linda, you guys are the best neighbors ever. If the fences bother you, I will never, as long as I live, put anything between us. And I just wanted my privacy, that's all. I would never, they're fantastic neighbors, I wish all my neighbors were Jim and Linda. Here's the survey. I'm sorry, as far as the surveyor, not talking to him before they do it.
Can we look at your survey?
Sure. There's one on file. Surveyors can go into any yard they want. They don't have to ask permission. If they wanted to
Don't
do it
agree
on
with
my
that.
yard, they could do it.
Let me stop you just a minute. I would expect they'd have to be careful with trespass. I work for a municipality away from here, and I am a sworn person that works for the village. I can't just go in other people's yards. I have to be careful.
Well, usually they'll knock on a door, but they do have, given their job, it's their job to go put the outline, put the parameters of the yards, so
Oh.
they do have access to yards. That's what I was told by my surveyor.
Well, I wouldn't lean too heavily on that if I were you, and that's where I'll stop.
Okay. And as far as my fence being on the property at 800, no, there were survey stakes too. I had survey stakes. They were taken out very quickly after the survey was done. The neighbor did put a matching green survey next to where one of mine was. That is about 2 inches out of my post that he says is on his property. It's not on his property. It's on my property. And my surveyor said that we both, the first bush that he's talking about, most of the base of that was on my property. The other one, a little bit to the left of the base, is his. And that one, the one closest to the road, is the one that we more or less share right down the middle. But that first one, the one that's taken the most hit from his pruning shears, is mostly on my yard.
You do understand that if it comes down to a tug of war over 8 inches of property, it will be settled in court. It'll have to be.
No, I'm just saying, though, I wanted it clarified, I'm not on his property with my fence.
And as you go further along here, number 3 up there is very important for you to know and understand and be able to make us understand it. What is particular about your property? Now, we've heard your issues with neighbors and things of that nature, but what is particular about your property that makes what you want the only solution to the problem that you have?
I think it would be better right now. I need my privacy. I'd like to go out and work in my yard. I don't feel comfortable stepping out now. I walk out, and also, the one issue that I've had, does anybody know here, when you want to trim bushes, are you supposed to go over your neighbor's fence and cut into their backyard if that's not their property? It's my understanding that the property line is the line you cut to, not like over the fence if you don't like what your neighbor has in their yard. So that is another reason for the fence. I want the option to protect what's mine.
Mr. Walker?
When did you have the survey done?
That was done,
Because I don't see a date on it.
oh, yeah, that was done December, about just over a year ago. December, because they were backed up.
And was this certified? I don't see it.
Yeah, it's cut off. I don't have a printer at home, and I did it at the library. It was done by Keefe Engineering in Clarkston.
And there's some kind of a seal on that part?
Yeah,
cut off?
yeah, and I can always forward you a copy. I do have a copy in my laptop at home, but when I printed it off, it cut it off. But it's Keefe Engineering. They've been around for years. They spent all day doing the survey, and one of the problems that came up when they were digging and looking for the original stakes, 1 or 2 of them were missed, and they actually went through the whole neighborhood, and like I said, they spent most of the whole day just to get the properties, kosher how.
Did they look with a metal detector?
Yeah,
And they had to dig down?
yeah.
Were you part of that at all? Did you go out and look and see what they were doing?
I watched from the house. I didn't want to get in their way. And then he took me through and he showed me everything. He pointed out the bushes. He showed me exactly where my line was. He pointed out the trees. There's a tree in back that's right on the property line that we both share.
Okay. What I may not have made real clear from the beginning, and if I did, or did not, I apologize. But this board has a very narrow scope tonight. Our scope is to only look at the specifics of your request and decide if there is practical difficulty to grant what it is you'd like. If neighbors are having issues with neighbors, that's not something this board can deal with. It is not within our purview. And because there's a neighborhood issue, and I'll tell you, only speaking of myself, I have never voted for a variance because it was a neighborhood issue, never, because there are usually other ways to fix it.
Okay.
So just, you have to hit hard on practical difficulty. Mr. Kirby, please.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. You're asking for a fence on the property line, in the front of the property, as well as the back of the property. Every reason you have given us, in my opinion, does not meet the legal standard of a practical difficulty. With that, that's going to direct the way I vote. There are other ways to handle this. We hear a lot of cases on fences. People come in, oh, my dog can jump a 4-foot fence. That's not a practical difficulty. That's a self-created issue that you need to train your dog. In this case, what I'm seeing is a neighborhood dispute. You're wanting to protect this, you're wanting to protect that, they're saying this is theirs. That's not something that we can rule on under the practical difficulty, like the chairman was saying. This is a neighborhood issue that could end up in civil court, or you guys could settle it yourselves. But you're not giving us anything to allow us, in my opinion, again, to vote in an affirmative manner to give you what you're asking for. Is there a practical difficulty that is present that you have not brought to this board?
Well, I brought it before. I have a son. He's almost 30, but he's severely autistic. And that's one of the reasons that I need my privacy. He has a lot of issues. It's nice if he can go out there and enjoy the yard because he's got a lot of sensory issues. The dogs are part of the problem. The pit bulls, they have jumped at the fence. That's why we put the one side. And it's for the enjoyment of our yard.
Any board members have anything additional to this petitioner? Last call, do we have anyone else in the audience that would like to speak to this?
Should I have 30 seconds?
30 seconds.
30 seconds, can I do it from here?
No?
Okay.
Just sit there in the first row if you'd like to. You'll be back.
I just spoke with my neighbors who have been there longer than me, and I haven't spoke with them much other than to say hi on the street. And I understand how they feel about an open neighborhood, and at this point, I'm like, leave the fences the way they are, because I agree with them. The fence that went all the way around the property to the north of me was because of a dog, and that guy inadvertently had to move quickly, so that's unfortunate, because he and I worked together on that fence, and if I had talked to them, I would have told them, you gotta do something different in the back for them anyways, or even me, because I'd have tamed the dog, you know? So as far as the fence goes, the best thing for me right now is not to have any kind of commotion back there whatsoever, and my time is up.
Thank you.
So I'm against it completely.
Come on back up, ma'am, if you would. And for the record, this is Mrs. Hope again from Harry Paul. Does the board have anything additional for this young lady? Mr. Walker?
How long have you lived there?
Just over 9 years. It'll be,
How old's your son?
he's just about 30, but he's got a lot of sensory issues.
Is he on the autism spectrum?
Yeah, he's very, very much autistic.
He was 21 when you moved in there.
Yeah, something like, yeah. Yeah, he turns 30 in.
This didn't develop since he's been there. He had this when you moved in.
No, he's had it, yeah.
Thank you.
Excuse me, folks. Excuse me, we don't want to make the mic. Okay, if we have nothing additional for this lady, if anybody is inclined to consider a motion, now would be a good time. And I think, before anybody begins a motion, for the record, I will make the statement, this is not easy. This is not an easy type case to deal with. So whether you're successful or whether you're not, obviously, we've been almost an hour in now, you didn't get just a quick shuffle. I mean, you've gotten the board's attention, and we've put in as much thought into this as we can. But we have strict rules, legal rules that we must be able to defend in court that we have to follow. Our motions are really complicated. We have to hit a bunch of different points, as you'll hear when one comes. So don't think we're, just taking a break. People are looking into what we have to do.
Can I say one other thing?
Please.
The back fence, as far as that goes, that is 2 feet of my yard that I have been paying on. I pay taxes. I have not been able to use. So I want you to take that into consideration too. He's been using the yard free and clear, and it is my property. I'm paying for it. I should be able to use it. And the landscaping he's talking about is mulch that he threw along the fence.
Stop. Can't talk from the gallery. Thank you. Understood, thank you. You ready? Still thinking it over.
I'm having a hard time with this one, sir.
I understand. That's fine.
I do have one more question, I'm sorry.
Damascus.
The dogs that are on the other property, they're currently fenced in, correct? The dogs are fenced away from your property? They can't-
Yeah, there's 3 kitty corner from us. There's a chain link fence, and then there's 2 at 800. And they're
they are
blocked by the
fenced in
6
their
foot.
yard. And that's where your that 6-foot fence faces the one.
Mm-hmm.
So when you originally got the first variance, it was because of a dog, and there was like a little barbed wire fence there.
Yeah, that fence.
And
was
then,
rusted.
so that fence, so are these the same neighbors or are these new neighbors?
No, they're the same.
Okay, gotcha.
They're the same.
So nothing's, the same dogs are there that were there when you got your initial variance?
They added another dog next door.
But, no, same people, just?
Yeah, same people.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Taking into account what the standards that we have here before us, in the matter of ZBA case AB 2023-26, Wendy Hope, 796 Harry Paul, Sidwell number 0911376030. I move that the petitioner's request for 3 variances from zoning ordinance 78, zoned R3, Article 27, Section 27.05, H2, number 1, a 10-foot rear yard setback variance from the required 10-foot to construct a 6-foot fence along the rear property line. Number 2, an 8-foot side yard setback variance from the required 8-foot to construct a 6-foot fence at the intersection of the rear property line and the side property line to the north. And number 3, a 30-foot front yard setback variance from the required 30 feet to construct a 6-foot fence at the intersection of the front property line and the side property line to the south be denied. For plans, the plans were stamped received August 8th, 2023, because the petitioner did not demonstrate the following standards for variance have been met in this case. Number 1, the petitioner did not demonstrate the practical difficulty. In number 3, it clearly states that if in fact it can't be due to the applicant's personal reasons or economic reasons, and that's what we were trying to get at in this case and asking what the practical difficulty of using the property was. The petitioner did not establish unique or exceptional circumstances or conditions applicable to the property involved that do not apply generally to other properties in the same district or zoning because now, one thing that was unique in that the petitioner did present that the neighbor to the south also talked about was that camera that is on the side of the house. That is a unique thing. But other than that, it's no different than most people in other areas where they have cameras facing other people's homes. The variance is not necessary for the preservation and enjoyment of a substantial property right posed by other properties in the same zone of vicinity, again, based on the following fact, that we previously have granted a variance for this property due to the applicant's son and his needs and wanting to create a barrier between himself and the dogs that were next door. The granting of the variance or modification will be materially detrimental to the public welfare or materially injurious to the property or to improvements in such zones or district in which the property is located, meaning that the one in particular, the piece going out to the front of the yard, separating the two homes, that would be an exception, a serious exception to the area. And, it does not preclude the applicant from having the 4-foot fence there. Further, based upon the following findings of fact, the granting of the variance would impair adequate light and supply to adjacent properties due to the height of the fence. However, it would not unreasonably increase congestion in public areas, increase the fire danger to the public, per what the fire marshal has said. He has no concerns about it from a fire danger standpoint, nor would it unreasonably diminish or impair established property values in the surrounding areas. Now, there were some concerns about having the additional fences in the area due to the openness, and that there were some alternatives that were presented by one of the neighbors in terms of lilac plants or cedar bushes as an alternative to wooden paneled fences or any type of paneled fence. And number 5, it would not in any other respect impair the public health, safety, comfort, morals, or welfare of the inhabitants of the township.
A motion on the floor by Mr. Cook, supported by Mrs. Danaskis. Do we have any additional discussion by the board? Seeing none, call the roll.
Diane Danaskis, yes. Tony Cook,
Yes.
Don Walker,
Yes.
Tony Kirby,
Yes.
Dan Durham.
Yes. Your request for variance has been denied. Unanimously, I have to add. Please, you look like you've got something to say.
I'm sorry, I'm very disappointed. I was kind of ambushed here. These neighbors have never had anything nice to say to me. I get called names over the fence. I have Karen signs facing my yard.
Well, let me interrupt you a minute, just while there's still some folks here. I've been dealing with neighborhood disputes for 40 years, and I'll tell you one thing, they never get better unless everybody, the people on both sides, the people in the back, everybody works on fixing it. Everybody has to want it. You have to want it, they have to want it, the gentleman at the door has to want it, if he's marginally involved, but everybody has to want this. Mutual toleration should be something that you should go for at this point, not making one another miserable. So, a long history of this, they always go bad if people don't work on fixing them, every single time. And I'll shut up now, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that you're unhappy, but that was the ruling of the board, and again, it was unanimous.
Okay, well, that is my property, though. I can still put a 4-foot fence across the back, right, without permission?
To put a 4-foot fence on your property, back me up, other folks, she doesn't even need to talk to us.
No, she does not.
As long as it doesn't go beyond the property line.
Yeah.
Make very sure where the property line is, for your own benefit.
No, I know where it is.
Okay?
I'm sorry.
Excuse me, those are the other gentlemen's.
Yeah, one of them was the other gentleman.
That one's yours there. Thank you.
Okay. I'm sorry. Next case. AB 2023-27, Michael Maxey at 777 South Long Lake Boulevard. Sidwell, 09-01-330-005. Applicant is seeking 2 variances from zoning ordinance 78, zoned R3. Article 6, section 6.04, a 19.5-foot front yard setback variance from the required 30-foot to reconstruct a home with an attached garage 10.5 feet from the property line along South Long Lake Boulevard. Number 2 is a 6.5-foot side yard setback variance from the required 10 feet to reconstruct a home with an attached 3.5-foot, with an attached garage, rather, 3.5 foot from the western property line. Introduce yourself, please.
Good evening. My name is Michael Maxey. I'm the owner of 777 South Long Lake Boulevard.
Okay, Mr. Maxey, I just have one statement, and then I'm going to be quiet. You're going to need to go slowly with us because when I went to look at the property, I looked at the property and I read her information and I read it some more and I looked some more and I finally called the office. I said, your information seems to indicate that this property's been taken down. It's not.
It is not.
And at that point, I lost all perspective. I'm like, okay, here.
I got images and pictures.
Okay, we need all the help we
need-
can get.
yes.
At least I do. Perfect. Look at you, all prepared. Thank you. All right.
I've got 3 surveys. One, the way the house currently sits, the one with the variance I'm requesting, and then a layout without the variances. And then I have 5 or 6 photographs of the house and the various locations and property lines. And then I also have some letters of support from the neighbors. Just brief history, I bought the property 15 years ago in its current state. There's
I mean, how long ago, sir?
15 years ago.
15, thank you.
15 years ago. At this time, I'm looking to make improvements to the house and looking to stay within the same basic footprint, use the same 3 foundation walls, and construct a newer home on the same property. The uniqueness of the property, the reason I'm here is, one, there's topography challenges to the property. There's a substantial hill that just beyond the garage where the garage currently sits, the property drops about 7-8 feet in a matter of 15 feet. From the, let's see here, what picture? There's one picture that says at the top, view from across the street. This garage here, just past the garage to the right here, there's a series of steps and it drops 7-8 feet and then it proceeds to drop another foot to the back of the house. So it's got some unique challenges in where to position the house to deal with the challenges in the grade. The first variant, or one of the variances, would be leaving the front setback at 10.5 feet. Pushing that back to a 30-foot, pushing the house back, creates all sorts of challenges with potential changes in the grade. The grade would have to be significantly changed to keep that garage at street level. Changing grade, I know they can do a lot of things, but you change grade, you change drainage of water. I don't want to impact the neighbors with potentially throwing water to the neighbors. So that's one of the challenges with pushing the house further back in the challenges of the grade. The other uniqueness of there, the well on the house, for the house right now is located underneath the house. It's very close to the western foundation. That's one of the foundations that I want to keep. Moving the western wall to accommodate the 10-foot setback is going to require a new well. I know a new well can be done, but again, another uniqueness of the well there. The other piece that's unique to this property is it's a corner lot. Where the garage I'm proposing, the front of the garage will be almost 40 feet from the property line. However, with a corner lot, as it wraps around the side of the lot, the setback setback to the side of the garage is currently at 10.5 feet. So another uniqueness of being on a corner lot. So I'm requesting these variances to deal with the topography of the house, the well, and also the corner lot. But I'm also doing it for the preservation of the neighbors and protecting the sight lines, the sunlight, and the views that the neighbors currently have. I've got, if you look at the Google Maps photo I have here, you can see my house is the one with the red dot on it. The house directly to the west, you can see it's kind of staggered to the location of my house. I'm trying to leave the house in that same position so that way I don't impact my neighbor to the west, Mr. Cooney. The requirement to push the house back to a 10-foot setback, the photo here that shows the western property line, this is the current separation between the two houses, okay? It's a 3.5, I'm 3.5 feet off the property, and that's what I'm requesting to maintain. Pushing that back to a 10-foot idea, give better views between the current houses. This photo here, the western landscape, this is a view of the street. The pine trees, behind the pine trees is where my house is currently located. The neighbor's already done significant landscaping to kind of protect his view from where my house currently sits. So as having me move the house another 6 feet from the property lines will not increase any airflow, sunlight between the two houses because you have a great deal of landscaping. However, moving the house 30 feet back from the front setback is going to negatively impact Mr. Cooney's view from the side of his house. As you can see, he's got a bay window that faces my property. Forcing my house back from its current footprint by an extra 19 and a half feet is going to block that bay window. And you can kind of even see it from the lake view. Pushing my house back is going to basically butt our two houses together. Even if I keep a 10-foot setback, it's going to kill his view of his bay windows. As far as the other neighbors, there's two neighbors across the street that I was able to reach. One was at 768 South Long Lake, and the other one was 806 Long Lake, and I have letters of support from them as well. This is the view from across the street. As you can see, the house, my property composes of two lots, lot 9 and 10 on the survey. The house pretty much sits right now on lot 9, which is where I'm trying to keep it. Lot 10 is basically an open lot with lots of mature trees. From the road and from across the street, there's plenty of views of the water, plenty of sunlight coming through there 6 months out of the year without all the foliage. You've got clear views of the lake. Again, I'm trying to preserve the current views from my neighbors and not impact them by recentering the house on the property, which I could do. I've got both lots here, but again, I'm trying to be respectful for the neighbors and the views they have. I've also received a letter of support from Eva Meister, who lives at 807 South Long Lake. She is my neighbor directly to the east. From the lake, again, this is my house. Ms. Meiser is over here. As you can, actually she's here. As you can see, that open lot between us is kind of like a park-like setting. It just open space. It's just kind of a nice park-like setting. She's in favor of keeping my house where it is to maintain that park-like setting. Also, another unique feature of the property is this open park-like setting to my east. There's enough room that currently I can actually drive a vehicle from the street down that path or down that property line to the water's edge. Heaven forbid, if there was ever an accident on the lake, that would be invaluable to first responders to be able to assist by getting vehicles down to the waterfront. Setbacks. So kind of in conclusion, I'm asking for this request because of the uniqueness of the property, the topography, the water drainage issues that could result of pushing the house further back and raising the grade back there. And also, I'm trying to support and be supportive of the neighbors and preserving their current views of the property. And I don't think it negatively impacts the public safety or health of the neighbors.
Almost like you've read the form.
Well, I did see it online, too.
Board members. While they're thinking about it, let me go ahead and read these few letters into the record. They appear to be a form letter, so I only have to read the body of the letter once. We have one, I, Sherry Wozniak, have reviewed the petitioner's request for two variances from zoning ordinance 78, Article 6, Section 6.04, zoned R3. After reviewing the information, I am in support of the petitioner's request. The petitioner's request will help preserve the current sight lines of my property and minimize the impact to the neighborhood. She lives at, it looks like 768 Long Lake.
Yes.
We have, as the gentleman spoke of, an Ina Meister with the same letter at 807 South Long Lake. Thomas Cooney at 755 and 769 Long Lake, same body of the letter. And we have Shannon Fares, perhaps, at 806 South Long Lake with the same letter of support. Do we have anybody that came tonight to speak specifically to this matter? Come on up, introduce yourself, and let us know what's on your mind.
Tom Cooney, 769 South Long Lake, and also 755. And I'm in full support of the petitioner's request.
Good.
So,
Nice refreshing change.
Very much.
over the last one, yes.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing none. Mr.
I'm prepared to make a motion at this time, Mr. Chairman.
Please. Mr. Kirk.
You go right ahead first, that's why I'm saying I'm prepared.
Mr. Cook.
Not to throw a wrench in this, but you've owned it for 15 years, you're coming for the variances, it should have been, said it was torn down, it wasn't torn down. Do you have plans?
Oh, yes.
Have those been, because I don't have them up.
Yeah, they were submitted to the building department, and that was what precipitated the variance notice.
Okay,
Yeah, we thought, based on the use of 3 existing foundations, we didn't realize we were going to have to request a variance. The building department contacted us early August. There was some confusion. I tried to submit these plans back in June, and there was some conflict or discussion of, well, you don't need 3 months ahead of time to do this. You only need a couple weeks. And then when we submitted them first part of August, it was like, oh, wait a minute, you're changing more than 50% of the value of the house. You have to request a variance. So that's why there was some discussion of whether or not the house could be torn down. Because my hope is to be able to have this project done by next Memorial Day, because me and my family love to use the lake.
no, I understand, I just, that's the piece that I want to know, how did we get here if you didn't have plans? So, but thank you.
Anything additional by the board? Seeing none, Mr. Kirby, you've got the floor.
Okay. Pardon me, I'm going blind and I have to do this a little close these days. In the matter of ZBA case AB-2023-27, Michael Maxey, 777 South Long Lake Road, Sidwell number 0901330-005. I move that the petitioner's request for 2 variances from zoning ordinance number 78, zoned R3, Article 6, Section 6.04, 1, a 19.5 front yard setback variance from the required 30 feet to construct a home with an attached garage 10.5 feet from the property line along South Long Lake Boulevard, and 2, a 6.5-foot side yard setback variance from the required 10-foot to construct a home with an attached garage 3.5 feet from the western property line be granted for the plan's date stamped received August 14, 2023, because the petitioner did demonstrate that the following standards for the variance have been met in this case, and that they set forth facts which show that in this case, the petitioner does show the following practical difficulties due to the unique topographical nature of this property and the fact that there is an existing home on the property makes this a unique situation, which does not generally apply to other properties in the area. The following are exceptional and extraordinary circumstances or conditions applicable to the property involved that do not generally apply to other properties in the same district or zone. Again, the existence of the house and a well already drilled within the house, if I can read my own handwriting, and the fact that you are intending to use the 3 existing foundation walls, this is not common and makes it a unique situation in this neighborhood. The variance is necessary for the preservation and enjoyment of the substantial property rights possessed by other properties in the same zone or vicinity based on the following facts. If the petitioner's variance was not granted, other neighbors in the area who have gone through financial expenditures to improve their property would be negatively impacted by requiring you to build this home under current ordinances. By allowing you to have these variances, you protect their property rights and values as well as their enjoyment of their land. The granting of this variance or modification will not be material detrimental to the public welfare or materially injurious to the property or to the improvements in such zone or district in which the property is located based on the following findings. The fire chief has no issues with this, and in addition, by requiring you to build under the current ordinances, you would actually close off an existing access to the lake for first responders. I am done.
Support. Go
We
ahead.
have a motion by Mr. Kirby, support by Mr. Cook. Do we have anything additional by the board? Seeing none, please call the roll.
John Walker,
Yes.
Tony Cook,
Yes.
Tony Kirby,
Yes.
Diane Januskas, yes. Dan Durn.
Yes, you're on your way.
Thank you very much.
Good luck.
I would like to make one comment to you. Thank you for being as prepared as you were. I wish everybody came in that way.
Thank you.
Tom's in your corner, by the way.
Next case, AB 2023-28.
That's right.
I gotta finish calling you. Dan McLean at 4850 Rayner Park Drive, Sidwell 09-31-376-030. Applicant is seeking two variances from zoning ordinance 78, zoned SF, Article 27, Section 27.02, A8. Number one, a 700 square foot variance above the allowed maximum floor area of detached accessory buildings of 1,000 feet to build a 1,500 square foot pole barn in addition to a 200 square foot lean-to for a total of 1,700 square feet. Number two is an 897 square foot variance above the allowed maximum floor area of all accessory buildings of 1,500 square feet to build a 1,500 square foot pole barn in addition to an existing 697 square foot attached garage and an existing 200 square foot lean-to for a total of 2,397 square feet of space. Introduce yourself, please.
Dan McLean, 4850 Rayner Park Drive.
Okay, I'll have the silliest question right out of the gate that you will hear tonight. We have been asked to grant these variances with varying degrees of success by the petitioners. Always, and I read through your information, always I'm going to store my motor home and my 2 collector cars and my lawn equipment. They get the variance, they build what they wanted to build, we go by there later, and they didn't store any of the stuff. Their yard still looks like somebody threw a hand grenade in it, and they got their big barn sitting out there.
That's interesting.
So my very simple question is, do you intend to store the things that you stated in your information if you get?
Absolutely, because I've had 4 of these motorhomes, or not motorhomes, campers, right? And every one of them get water leaks, damage, sun fading, all this type of stuff. So
Okay, thank you.
I want to put an end to it. This
So-
one's also more money than the other ones, so.
It looked like you were going to build fairly far back on your lot.
Yeah, it's open, so that's open to, if you have suggestions, recommendations. I just want to put it back, right? So it's back as far as it can go. If it needs to go somewhere else, that's,
No, I was just noticing, because that land, not necessarily your parcel, but that land all through there falls off and gets wet. Do you find that problem at the back of your property?
at the very back, the back left corner, so this is on the right corner. So the back left corner does, like the recent rain that we just had, that part fills up, and then in the spring it fills up. But in that area, it doesn't normally. But it also doesn't need to go that far back if it needs to be 15 feet or whatever from the back.
That wouldn't be anything that we would have any concern with. That'd be between you and the building department.
Okay.
Also, did I read in your information that there's a shed going to be removed?
Yeah, there's a little plastic 10 by 10 shed, so I would get rid of it, sell it or whatever. I don't need that. Yeah, whatever I need to do, I can do. But absolutely, the whole point of this is to get the motorhome. It's a motorhome, it's an actual motorhome. I've had campers before. I want to keep it from aging. It's only 2 years old, right?
Because we all been doing this for a long time, but I can't speak for the other board members, but I'm always disappointed when we go past someplace where a variance was granted and all the same stuff is still sitting outside.
I mean, that's crazy. So I do have a plow truck, right, because we're on a private drive. And that thing is just, it's rotting itself, tires, that type of thing. So anything outdoors, things like tires, they start, rotting, dry rotting after just a couple of years. It's very expensive.
Mr. Kirby?
Question for you.
Sure.
You chose to buy the motorhome, right? Class A or C?
It's a C.
Okay.
I had a Class A a long time ago. The C?
So did I. C's a little easier to drive, but I digress. You chose to buy it. Therefore, that makes this a self-created problem, not qualifying under a practical difficulty that is not self-created. However, I heard you say something that is much more useful to me, and that you have plow and lawn equipment that you need to maintain your property.
Absolutely.
Okay, that's what I needed.
So, right, that's taking up space in the garage, so you can't park cars in there because of that stuff. Have a utility trailer, same thing, it's for moving stuff around. I need it all in something.
Yeah. Maintaining your yard is something we want you to do. Having the equipment to do so, it is only reasonable to expect that you would want to store that somewhere where it's not going to rust out or get destroyed or whatever by the weather, because we live in Michigan.
Right.
So that to me makes sense. That's not something that's self-created, that's something you need to maintain your property.
I do have some informal letters of approval, if that's something you want, from the neighbors, some of the neighbors. They're just text, pictures of a text message.
Bring them up.
That helps you. I don't have one from all the surrounding neighbors, but it's for approval.
You wouldn't have
Hey,
to have too
doesn't
many.
hurt.
So one starts with a joke, I just have to. Read from the bottom. But he cleared himself out. Yeah, I think.
From you.
Your neighbors?
There's two variances.
Oh, gotcha.
He says, they're gonna be awesome.
I have one question.
Mr. Walker?
Mr. McLean, you indicate there's the shed. Is the shed what we listed as the lean-to?
No, so the wife
That's
wanted to add a
something
lean-to. So the shed, I don't know if you have a picture of the,
Okay. But yeah, I just wasn't sure about the nomenclature here, that's all.
no, the plastic shed is right in front of it, it's a little plastic.
Okay.
It's like a little rectangle. It's probably
Okay.
7 by 7.
All right, thank you,
But that could be removed.
thank you.
Okay. So one neighbor is
It's Armando. He's at the end of our road.
His name wrong?
Yeah, it's the wife that when she put it on her phone.
Okay, gotcha.
I don't know his last name. I don't have his contact info.
Their text, it is done with sarcasm. It says, "Hey Christina, I refuse these zoning requests. Just kidding, haha. Those are going to be some sweet pole barns." And again, I think the neighbor is referencing barns plural because there are two variances. And there's only one barn that he's building that would require two zoning variances, or two variances, I should say. Now, the second one is from neighbor Lori Lynch. We don't have an address. It says, "Hey, guys, got the notice about the pole zoning change meeting, pole barn zone changing meeting. You have our full support. Are you expecting any pushback that we can help offset at the meeting?" And so, those are
Then the other neighbor, I don't have proof, but he wants to help build it. He's friends with builders, that type of thing. He's the one that's right along the property line, so. And all the other ones behind me are asking if it's built yet.
Have anything additional by the board? I have to ask for public comment. Do you want to come up and talk about this? No? Okay. We won't make you.
He loves this meeting. You saw Mom leave. He wanted to stay, so.
I'll give us a minute while we roll over, if anybody wants to put forth a motion.
Mr. Chairman, there's a second letter in here. The initial one was a text from Lori Lynch. There's also a letter
Okay.
in here that was sent directly to the township from Ms. Lynch. It says, "Good afternoon. I'm writing in support of Dan and Christina McLean's request for variance from zoning and would like my comments considered at the meeting on September 11th, 2023. My name is Lori Lynch, and I live at 4900 Rayner Park Drive, just south of the McLean's. Their request should be approved as it imposes no adverse effects to the neighborhood and will be an improvement for their property and its value. It would also very much fit nicely within their property and the general neighborhood characteristics. The McLeans have been exceptional neighbors, and they are constantly helping us with anything from a busted well line to plowing the private road. Their belongings that need protection from the elements help the entire street, and being able to store them properly seems like a fair and reasonable request. I see no reason that the variance shouldn't be allowed. Best regards, Lori Lynch."
I have another question for the gentleman then. Please. Sir, based off this letter of recommendation, you plow the private drive for your neighbors as well as yourself?
Every house on that, the private drive. So I go down the drive. I try to hit most of the driveways, but sometimes there's vehicles.
All right, Mr. Chairman, I am ready to make a motion if nobody else has any other questions.
Please do.
In the matter of ZBA case AB-2023-28, Dan McLean, get that right? 4850 Rayner Park Drive, Sidwell number 09-31-376-030. I move that the petitioner's request for 2 variances for zoning ordinance 78, zoned SF, Article 27, Section 27.02A8, 1, a 700-foot variance above the allowed maximum floor area of detached accessory buildings of 1,000 square feet to build a 1,500-square-foot pole barn in addition to a 200-square-foot lean-to for a total of 1,700 square feet. And 2, a 897-square-foot variance above the allowed maximum floor area of all accessory buildings of 1,500 square feet to build a 1,500-square-foot pole barn in addition to an existing 697-square-foot attached garage and an existing 200-square-foot lean-to for a total of 2,397 square feet be granted for the plans date stamped received August 15, 2023, because the petitioner did demonstrate that the following standards for the variance have been met in this case, in that they set forth facts which show that in this case, the petitioner shows that the following practical difficulties. He maintains his property and those of his neighbors in the private street and has necessary equipment in order to do so, and it is reasonable to allow him a location to store that equipment so that it can be properly maintained and be reliable for years longer than if it did not have. 2, the following exception, extraordinary circumstances or conditions apply to the property involved that do not apply generally to other properties in the same district or zone. Again, he is maintaining the private drives as well as other areas that other folks are not doing, so therefore it is reasonable for him to have a location to store the equipment necessary to do that. Variance is necessary for the preservation and enjoyment of the substantial property rights possessed by others in the same zone or vicinity based on the following facts. I'm hammering it again. He's maintaining it for the folks so that they are using the property, and without his doing so, they would not be able to enjoy it as much. 4, the granting of this variance or modification will not be material detrimental to the public welfare or material injury to the properties or to the improvements in such zone or district in which the property is located, based on the findings of the neighbors who have all said that this will not interfere, will actually improve and assist them in their day-to-day efforts. Is that a question?
Someone else wanted to, right? They didn't want to have them.
Motion on the floor by Mr. Kirby with support by Mrs. Danaskis. Do we have anything additional by the board?
Was that a support or a question?
I didn't want to take away your opportunity to support if you want to.
Seeing none, please call the roll.
Tony Kirby,
Yes.
Don Walker,
Yes.
Diane Danaskis, yes. Tony Cook,
Yes.
Dan Durham.
Yes, motion passes unanimously. Good luck to you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for what you do for your neighbors.
That's nice. Yeah. By the way, do you do your own maintenance on your vehicles?
No, well, I have new cars.
Okay, yeah.
Leases, and
No, I
wife
just-
has a work car and I have a lease, and.
No, it's just when I came up, I saw how you got that mower, like, in your garage currently.
Wedged.
It is, yeah, wedged in there, so.
So this is gonna be nice, appreciate it.
Good luck.
Thank you, sir.
What do I do from here? Do I get like an official letter or something? How does that work?
Apply to the building department, and you'll be good to go.
I'm sorry?
Apply for your building permit.
Oh, building permit, and they'll have whatever they need on file? Okay, thanks.
Have a good night, young lady. She's like,
Next, we have public comment, but we are losing our public, so that's not an issue. Hold on, this has changed, communication/education. Do we have anybody with anything to say on that? The only education part is I can't seem to get into my email to finish my computer training about the current threats. They keep telling me, finish your training.
It's funny you say that, because I tried to do that today myself.
Yeah?
And you click on, but nothing happens when you click on.
yep,
Yep.
that's all of us. That's not just you.
Okay, good.
You guys definitely need some more training.
Yeah, but we can't get trained.
I'm always afraid to click on those because the one time I did, it told me I had opened myself up to a scam and I had done something wrong. So I'm like, I don't trust these things anymore.
Any
I just tried to do that today.
committee reports, anything of that nature? Seeing none. Member comments? Anybody?
Yeah, I have one. I haven't talked about the library in a while. Book sale starting the 19th of September for that week. And so come by, buy lots of books. 50 cents, $1, can't go wrong.
No, you can't.
I have one. I'm going to be calling the office tomorrow because I got a notice that my next door neighbor is requesting something at the next meeting. And I am going to need to recuse myself. Now, they normally tell me I have to bring it to the board and you folks have to determine. This time I will have to insist because anything I say could either unfairly influence the applicant or the neighbors that may come in to speak to it. So I will find out from them how they choose to handle it, whether they want an alternate or whether they want to go with 4 for that one case, however they want to handle it. But just so everybody's aware, that is coming at the next meeting. Now, all my neighbors that also got the notification look at me differently because none of them knew I was on this board before. So I don't know if that's a good thing or not, but that's the way it is. And that's all I've got. Anything additional? If not, motion to it.
I do have
Mr.
one
Cook.
thing. One of the persons that spoke tonight, the young lady that lives on Buckhorn, she talked about her yard and the use of landscaping material to create a fence. I know we've been talking about that. And when we get find sources like that, I think it would be good to take pictures and potentially even see if they wouldn't mind us giving their address out so that people might go by and see it, because our demonstration area that we've talked about for a while, it doesn't look like it's going to get done anytime soon. But we've got great examples already in the township, and that was one right there where she talked about the lack of a need for a fence and choosing to use landscaping instead. So,
I'm wondering, Tony, if it would be, if we could get photos and put something online that people could go into to see, photos of people in the community that have done those things at their property, so that you could look at several examples of kinds of, in addition to, what you're suggesting. But if we can't get a real demonstration area, then maybe we can do what you've asked to and maybe do something online as well.
We've had trouble getting the other pieces of the township excited about this. I think mainly because they don't deal with it the way we do. I think that I don't know that they understand it. If 2 or 3 of them came and sat here when there was a couple of them, they may walk away with a different attitude. It's just an opinion.
Oh, it's seconded.
Okay, if we got nothing else.
Detroit won.
Motion to adjourn.
The Lions won.
Yeah, they did.
They played again today?
No, yesterday they won. I'm still stunned.
So I don't get in trouble. We got a motion?
I move.
And I'll support. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We're done. Thank you.